everybody, my name is Renee and this is my cash stuffing journey. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you decide to like, subscribe and stick around for a while. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your ongoing support. So today is going to be another Budget 101 video. Now, if this is the first one you're clicking on, I highly recommend you go back to the playlist and watch all of them because it goes through step by step what to do when you're starting out your budgeting and cash stuffing journey, and the things that I'm talking about in this video, I go into more detail in those ones. So if you're just coming into this one, it might be a little bit confusing if you're new. So for this video, we are going to talk about how much to cash stuff. Now, excuse me. Before I kind of get into the nitty-gritty, please remember that everyone's budget is completely unique. My situation is not like yours is not like someone else's. It's completely unique. But I'm hoping by going through using my own budget that I can show you the steps to take rather than the amount. So we're not really focusing on the amounts, just the steps and how to work out how much to cash stuff in your journey. So I've just got a plain notebook here. What we're going to do is how much to stuff. Okay, so in my previous videos we've used the worksheet, which is a free Budget 101 pack that I have. If you would like a copy, please feel free to send me an email and I will send it to you. Just give me 1 sec and I will see if I can find it. It's in my desk drawer here. 1 second. Okay, so this is the free pack. So it comes with an income tracker, an essential expense tracker, a daily living tracker, a general spending tracker, savings goals, debt, and a calendar, and a blank calendar. So in my previous videos, I go through the worksheet step by step using my own budget. So this is what we're going to use today. I wasn't going to use these, but I might. So my income is, so we'll just say $16.60 plus $6.49 plus $50. Okay, so every 2 weeks my income is $2,259. Now, I haven't actually sat down and worked this out, so this is like kind of a real life process, so I don't even know what the numbers are going to be. And then for my, when it comes to, so this, we filled out the income. Okay, essential expenses. This includes, for me, this includes rent, my car payment, any pay now, buy now, pay later services, a subscription for swimming for my son. What else is there? My son's allowance. He has a little child bank card, like mini bank account. It's called Spriggy if you live in Australia, and I really like it. This obviously isn't sponsored, but what happens is every year we pay an annual fee of $31, and in that we downloaded the app, and you have what's called a parent wallet. So I set up money, he gets $25 a fortnight that goes into the parent wallet, and then I distribute that. Every time he makes a purchase, it sends me a notification of how much he spent and where. You can set up like savings goals and chore lists and things like that, and I really like it, and I think it's worth like the annual fee. To be honest, and he really enjoys it because you get to pick like the pattern on your card, and he chose the flash. So yeah, he really enjoys it. So things like that, like his allowance. Okay, so see what else. I'm actually pulling out my budget sheet. Yeah, so the payment on my Visa card, things like that. So for me, this fortnight, that's going to be, so we've got fortnightly expenses. And these are, my rent is not included in that, just because I have a salary and I get what's called salary sacrificing. So what happened is, before the money hits my bank account, they take out $611, then I get taxed on what's left, and then I get the $611 back, and that goes straight into account, and then that pays my rent, and then I add a little bit to it to make sure my whole rent is covered. So that's why I didn't include that, because that's basically paid. I only put $129 towards that, so we pay $740 of rent for 2 weeks in my house. Apparently, from what I can see, that's quite good still. The property is very old and it does need a lot of work, but generally speaking, I think that's pretty good in the rental market today. And our landlord's great, so she doesn't raise it unless she absolutely has to, which is great. So fortnightly expenses is $899, so $2,759 minus $899, so that leaves us with $1,860. Now it's time to take out my monthly expenses, and they are, for me, what I do is I actually use my calendar. Sorry, where's that one? I use my blank calendar and I fill in when all of my subscriptions and stuff come out, or when William needs his medication, or or anything like that, and then I mark where my pay periods are. So say for example I get paid on a Wednesday, and based on this fortnight's expenses, I have, say for example, I have Kindle Unlimited, Kindle Audible, Canva, and my mobile phone bill. So I get paid on this Wednesday and this Wednesday. Anything in this period gets paid in that very first paycheck. So I'm basically paying for the next 2 weeks. You can do it monthly if you prefer. You can do it weekly. It doesn't matter, but I find paying it for the next 2 weeks is better than being behind and paying like, so for example, say it was this payday here and I was trying to pay for all of this. It works better if you work forward. So according to, sorry guys, I know it's crooked, I'm sorry. So according to my budget, my monthly expenses are $273. $97, but I might just leave it at 73 to be honest, because it'll make it easier. So we now minus these expenses. Okay, that leaves us with $1,587 remaining. So $1,587. Now, these numbers might seem very, very, very high. They might be very, very low compared to other people. But I'm hoping you're focusing more on the steps rather than the money. So you get your income, fortnightly expenses for me. That could be weekly expenses. If you get paid weekly, so for example, if I got paid weekly, it would be $1,379. So then I would have weekly expenses instead of fortnightly. I could still have monthly expense. I would probably still have monthly expenses, but this part would change. So instead of trying to focus on the number, because I am the first to admit that I am on a salary wage, and I get a pretty decent income. With the cost of living, it seems less decent on the rise, but yeah, I get a pretty good income. So try not. When I first started, I fell into the trap of comparing my budget and my income to others. I compared my numbers to others, and I tried to copy theirs because I wanted what they had. And like, for example, one of my first budgeters I watched was Pink X Budgets, and she was stuffing $25 a week for her children, and their envelope was like, she was thick, and there was thousands and thousands of dollars in her envelope when I first watched. And I wanted that. I wanted thousands and thousands of dollars for my kids. So when I did this budget, I was copying her amounts, not my own. And as you would expect, it failed. I failed because I was trying to stuff for Christian Louboutin shoes when all I could afford was Kmart sneakers, or Target sneakers, or Walmart if you're in the US. I was trying to do too much, and I didn't have the knowledge or the money to back it up. So please try not focus on the numbers, but rather the steps I'm taking to get to the cash stuffing. Okay, so I've got $1,587 remaining. Now, the next part, we've gone through essential, we've gone through daily living. General spending, we're not there yet. Okay, so, actually no, we are there. Okay, so we've gone through our daily living expenses. Now, these are what I consider to be my cash envelopes in my wallet. So the money that I use every day to survive, paycheck to paycheck. Now, for me, when you are first starting out, start small. Start small, guys. Don't be bogged down by all the opportunities and all of the categories that other people are stuffing, because they may not apply to you. For example, I live in a regional area, and our public transport isn't that great. Buses run once an hour, and they start at 8 o'clock and they finish at I think it's 7. So if you want to get a bus out of that, too bad. You've got to get a taxi or walk it. Also, for example, our buses don't go to industrial estates. So if you work or are a shift worker in an industrial estate, you're out of luck. The public transport doesn't go there. We have 2 trains a day, one in the morning and one at night, and that's it. The one in the morning is at 5 a.m. and that's the bullet train to Sydney, and all the way out to the boondocks, out in the middle of nowhere. So public transport isn't really viable for most people in town. It's fine if you live in town and all you do is travel in town, but if you need to go kind of anywhere outside of that, it's a real big hassle. So most people have cars. So I would have a fuel budget, but not a travel budget, like a public transport budget, or a parking budget, or a toll budget, because we don't have paid parking in town, and we don't have any tolls. You don't get tolls until you get down to Sydney. on the M4, which is like 4 hours away. So you've got to really think about what expenses impact your life. What do you do every day? And like I said, when you're starting out, start really small. Now for me, what I've done is I think I've got 9 categories generally, but these are the ones that I found really important. So these are the ones I'm going to focus on as if I was just starting out. Now with groceries and things like that, the cost of living is pretty high in Australia. Groceries are high, renting is high, fuel is exceedingly high. I think we're paying $2.40, I think, a litre, which works out, and there's 4 litres in a gallon. So if you're in the US, that would be what, $2.40, $4.80. What's that? What's the next one? $7.20. Is that? And then so about $9.80, I think, or $9.60 for a gallon. Although from what I've seen, some places in the US are paying that now, which is just insane. So what I've done is I've picked the top 4 categories that I used when I first started, and it really helped me. So what I need to do here is, so my daily, my cash wallet, okay, so I have kids, I have groceries, I have fuel, and I have medication. Okay, so the first 3 are obvious, but the second one, my husband has chronic back pain, and he has a lot of issues with his back, so he quite often will take pain relief. I will have a script, things like that. So that money is there to pick up the slack in the 2 weeks. Okay, so this one, say for example this fortnight, I know that my husband is going to need a script. Because he's a carer, he's on what's called a carer's pension card, and it allows him to get scripts for $5.80. So we've got $5.80 for that. Okay, so he's going, say for example, I'm gonna say he gets 2, which is 1 a week. Okay, that's $11.60. Then he generally has over-the-counter medication, and I think the cheapest Panadol is 85 cents. So 85, and then he's gonna get 2 of them, and then why did I go? Okay, so $5.80 times 2 equals, and then plus 0.85. He's going to get 2 of them. Okay, the cheapest ibuprofen is, I think it's $2.80. Okay. What is wrong with this calculator today? Okay, we're sitting at $18.90. So that's how much medication I'm expected to cover. So I'm going to round that up and make it $20. Okay, so with fuel, at the moment it takes about $70 to fill our car. We have a very small hatchback, and she's a great car. She's great on fuel, but we have to travel. We have to drop William off to and from school. He doesn't catch any buses or anything, so we've got to drop him off. I also have to get to and from work because my car is currently off the road. So that's to and from school, to and from work for me, and then also general running around. Now that would pretty much use a tank I would say. That's how much I would budget, is a tank. Now, because we've budgeted for that, now when it gets to payday, we've still got a quarter of a tank every time. So it only costs us $50 every fortnight for fuel. Even if, say for example, my son is now on school holidays, so we don't have to take him for that to and from school, and I'm going to be on leave after next week. I'm so excited. I need this leave, guys. But anyway, so we're going to be doing no driving for like a week or two. I would still cash stuff that $50 because then it would be sitting in my envelope and it would roll over if it needed to. Now, the kids. My kids are generally pretty low maintenance. They don't really need much. William doesn't spend money, and if he does, it's his own. If he wants anything, he's happy with a pack of Doritos and some salsa. Like, he's not a high maintenance kid by any means. So this is more for things like if something comes up and they need it. So for example, my son needs new, like my son might ask for, I don't know, he might want a toy or a certain treat from the store that he wants to buy himself, or we forgot to buy groceries that fortnight and Evelyn needs nappies, or if Evelyn has grown out of her clothes and she needs something, if she gets sick and we've spent our medication money, things like that. So I usually don't put too much in here, and what I decided early on was that if there was any money left over in this envelope, I would roll it over into their binder envelope. And to make that easy, I've just said, okay, I'm just going to give them $20, but I'm going to do it in $2 times $10 notes, because then if it rolls over, and it's only started to do that in the last few weeks, I can split it in half and put 10 in each envelope. Okay, so we've currently got grocery, kids, fuel, and medication. So now we need to figure out our groceries. Now, I do mine a little differently. On payday, my husband goes down and does a really big shop, and he can spend anywhere from $200 to $500, which is ridiculous. But it just depends on what's on sale, what's down there, what we need, and what the meal plan is that I have created. Now, I find that meal planning and shelf cooking does a really big thing to stop your grocery budget. What I was doing is I'm thinking, once I've done this, the series I had in mind is actually completed. So this was going to be the last video, but I was thinking, like, I might extend it into other areas. So for example, a budget 101 for meal planning, and like a budget 101 for traveling, and going through the things that I use to save money in just general spending. So for example, I can do what I do for meal planning and how I work the meal plan. So if you think you'd be interested in me extending this series, please put a comment down below and let me know, and I might extend it. So my husband does a really big shop, so once he's done that, what it does is I might take out, that doesn't really come out of this budget. I know that sounds weird, but I'm not going to have it come out of this budget for now. So what I'm going to do is, I usually cash stuff $100 because he does a big shop on payday, and then we won't need anything, and we might need just bread, milk, and fresh fruit and vegetables the following week, so the off pay week. But what I'm going to do is, just for now, I'm going to stuff this, and say for example, he usually spends, on average, he spends about $300. So I'm going to put 300 in here, and then I'm going to put a 100. So this is the main shop, right? This is what I will leave in the bank, and this is what I will cash stuff. So this is the stuff that we will go back in the next week and get. So we've now got 1587 minus 20 for the kids, minus 400 for the groceries, minus 50 for fuel, and 20 for medication. So we're now sitting at $1,097. So let me just okay. So now we've got 1,097 remaining. So we've done our daily expenses, which is this form. And the reason I say is keep it small and keep it down to the absolute minimum when you're starting out, because once you get a bit more comfortable in your budget, you might be able to see, well, we're doing a little bit better now. How about we add in a fast food envelope and spend $50 a fortnight on fast food? We're doing a little bit better. I'm getting a more control on my spending. So how about I add a spending app envelope, and I add $20 or $50 to that to give me some spending money. Or I'm starting to reach my goals, let's put $100 into spending because I'm meeting my requirements or my responsibilities. So start out small, and then as you get confident and as you start getting used to budgeting, as you figure out ways that work for you that can cut money off here and there, then you can increase your envelopes. But generally speaking, I would start off with just a few. Because we're just starting, I'm not going to have a general spending. I'm literally going to be focusing on my goals. Now, as part of the pack, we had a savings goals tracker. And that is going to dictate what you do next. So for myself, when I looked for what I really wanted to save for, what my immediate goals were, mine were an emergency, a deposit for a home, and each one of my kids. So they were the 4 envelopes that I chose. That's what I started with. There wasn't the 4 binders I have now, and I haven't broken it up into the smallest possible categories. I had 4. This was it. This is what I had. So when I was doing my budget, so I have $1,097 left. That's what I have left. Now, the big one for me was the deposit. So that was our main one. That was the main one. Then I had an emergency fund. So that I thought was next, and then my kids were last, because these 3 were considered long term. These were the ones that I intended to cash stuff frequently from now on. It's not going to stop. It's just going to keep rolling over. Now, with the deposit, that one had a deadline, because the owner of this property is selling, or she wants to sell, and me and my husband would either like to buy this property or buy another one. We're sick and tired of renting. Our dream is to own our own home. Now, it seems incomprehensible sometimes, because it's hard, especially with the rising costs. And even though the property market is actually going down in my town at the moment, and we are getting more and more houses in our price budget, the banks have come in and said, we're gonna get strict on the lending criteria. So it's hard, and it can feel like you're not getting anywhere. And like, we've had a couple of times where we've had to take money out of this to cover something else, and it left me absolutely devastated. But then I tried to tell myself, okay, well, what would have happened if you didn't have that money? What situation would you be in? And it would have been a really unpleasant one. So when it comes to picking your goals, they can be long term, they can be short term, but make sure you pick the ones that are really, really important at first. So limit it to, I would say, probably 3 or 4 at the most. just so you can get used to the consistency of stuffing, so that you can get the high of seeing that money just slowly grow. Because then you're like, I can do this, I can make this work, and look what I get at the end of it. So it's kind of important what goals you pick. So for me, I chose, deposit was the main one. So this is going to get the bulk of my money. So if I didn't have any other envelopes to stuff, this is how I would do it. For this money here, I would split this in half. Divided by 2. Okay, so it's $548.50. I would round that up. So, saving envelopes. Okay, so I would round that up to $550. And I would stuff $550 in this every fortnight. Okay, now the next one is an emergency. Alright, so my goal for an emergency fund at the moment is $1,000. I think at first I should have done 500, right? So, because once you meet that goal, then you can go on to the next one. So I'm going to do that by 5. So I'm going to do $500 by 2. Oh, no, not by 2. What am I doing? 500 by 26, because I get 26 pays in a year, is $19.23. So I would round that up to 20. Okay. Now with my kids, I wanted $1,000 a year for them. So same thing. 1,000. Hopefully these numbers work out. So $1,000 is $38.40. So I would round that up to 40. So there is 2 of them. So that is $80. So my main goal was half of the amount left over. Then I've got $20 for my emergency fund, and then $80 for each child, like $80 for both children. So it's $40 in each envelope. So let's see what we're at now. Okay, that leaves us $447 now. Now, if you, for example, only had these ones to focus on, right, you could probably put, well, what's that? That's 80, it's $100. So you could really put $997 into your deposit if you wanted to, and just put the 20 in the $20 for the emergency and the $80 for the kids, and then that's it. You could stop there. You don't have to go any further. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to also focus on debt. So I went through, I've only recently redone this, and I basically people can get very comfortable in their budget, especially someone like me who's on a salary, who gets the same amount every 2 weeks. It doesn't change. And I can get very comfortable in my budget. But the last few pays, I have noticed that we're not quite making it. We're stretched just that little bit too thin. So it was time for me to I went back through my budget and reevaluated. And I'm glad I did, because I discovered that I am paying $70 in interest, just in interest and fees, on my credit card. Like, that's not the minimum repayment. That's just the interest and the fees on the credit card. Now, that is ridiculous, and I'm a little bit ashamed, to be honest. We have one credit card. I'm not sure how it works in the US, But credit cards are kind of a negative thing for me, from what I can see in Australia. It goes against you if you apply for a home loan. The interest rates are very, very high, and they're just not, they're not viewed as a positive, really, unless you are very, 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 very good at managing it and you have been right from the start. So I want to get rid of that. I want to pay it off and get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce savings challenges. Now, I get very... Sorry, I'm fighting my cat. She's trying to get back up on the desk again. I get very kind of bored with my cash stuffing, only because it is the same amount every fortnight or every week. Every week it is, I stuff the same stuff. And while I'm really happy that I can see it ticking up and getting more and more in savings, I lose interest quickly. Now, to keep me motivated, I fell in love with savings challenges. Now, savings challenges are just a fun way to challenge yourself to save. That's literally what they are. You can have big ones, small ones. You can have ones that go over a year. You can have ones that go over a week. It's just finding what you like. Now, I have both long and short term ones. So I've got the 26 week and the 52 week and the $1 a day, which I like all go over the whole year. And there's ones like the 5 for 5, which literally goes over 5 weeks. I think the more I do them, the more I think I like the short ones, because I get satisfaction from them quicker rather than the long-term ones. So I'm introducing savings challenges. Now, I'm doing the 100 envelope challenge, and I'm doing a Christmas challenge. Christmas is always a nightmare for me, and I always hated it, and I'm determined for this year to be different. Now, the reason I hated it is because we would be living paycheck to paycheck throughout the whole year. So there was no let's go shopping in July and get it then. There was no saving stuff. We lay-byed as much as we could. We lay-byed it, and we would pay it off slowly. But even then, it only gives you 3 months to pay it off. And sometimes that wasn't viable for us. So we would frantically get to Christmas. It would be like a month out from Christmas, and we would be spending nearly half of my pay on Christmas stuff. And then there was no money for groceries, fuel, nothing. And I hated it. I hated it because we always had to leave it to the very last minute, and I'm determined not to have that this year. So I'm hoping that my cash stuffing journey can help me achieve that goal. So I've got a Christmas savings challenge and the 100 envelope savings challenges. If I was on a bare bones budget and I was just starting out, these would be the two that I picked. Now, with the Christmas budget, I've got two. I've got one of my own, and I'm also doing a budget with April. You can get high amounts, low amounts. You can set your own amount. But basically with budgeting April's, it's $265, and you just cut every week, every fortnight. I just color in a ball, and that's how much I save. So that's what I'm doing for Christmas. Now, with my 100 envelope, I'm doing mine a little bit differently, and this is also to show how you can adapt a savings challenge to suit you. You don't have to buy a savings challenge and go, I have to do it that way. No, you don't. You can adapt it to however you want. Now, being in Australia, our $1 and $2 are coins. They're not notes. So for me to do like the 100 envelope, I'm not going to stick a $1 coin in an envelope, especially because I made myself the laminated ones. It stretches them out. It makes them awkward. I don't like it. So what I've done, and these are available on my Etsy store, but you can do this yourself with a blank piece of paper and just cross it off as you go. You don't have to buy anything. You can all do this with a piece of paper and a pen. Sorry, my nose is itchy. I've done it in $5 increments because our smallest note is $5. So what I've done is I am making these envelopes, and I'm putting it on my credit card on top of the minimum repayment. So what I've done is I am paying, when I saw that I'm paying $70 in fees and interest, I pay half of that. So I halved it because I get 2 pays a month. I halved it, so there's $35. My minimum repayment is like barely nothing. Probably because it's all going in bloody interest. But what I'm doing is, so I'm paying $35 in fees and interest every fortnight. That's to cover the whole month. Then what I'm doing is I'm picking these envelopes and putting them on top of the minimum repayment. So for example, last fortnight I put $50 on top. So I had $35 for the interest payment, and then I put $50 on top. So that fortnight I paid $85. I transferred that directly onto my credit card, and I'm using prop money. But if you wanted to, you could put real money in your envelope, go to the bank towards the end of the month and put money on your credit card. You don't have to do it electronically. I think it works for me because going to the bank for me is a nightmare and I hate it, and I only do it once every 2 weeks. And that's because I have to. Because I cash stuff small amounts, I can't just go to an ATM because we only get 50s and 20s in Australia. So they're the two challenges. Now, for the people who, say, for example, can't afford to do, say, $50 at a go, right? What I've done is, say, for example, if I was only cash stuffing $5 and I've completed the first row, right? The great thing about these laminated trackers is you get a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Sorry, I'm nearly out, so like this is not ideal. I need to refill my bottle. Okay, so you just rub it out. So I've done $50. I really need to fill this. This is ridiculous. Okay, so wipe that off. Come down here. And now you've coloured in a 50. So now you can go back up here and start cash stuffing your 5s again. And that I use this a lot when the numbers down the bottom are really big and it's just not viable for me to stuff $100. So I will get up $100 up here, rub it all out, move it down to here, and then start again on the smaller ones. And I found that works really well for me. So I'll have to clean that up later. Okay, so I'll push all this to the side. Okay, so out of that $447 remaining, now each week this will be different, but I know how much I have left over. So for example, I'll actually get it out so I can show you. I'm part of the budgeting community link, and as part of the support I go and buy from people's Etsy stores. I've got so many savings challenges now. It's actually really good. So this is her Christmas one. So just how you color in. So say for example for this fortnight I want to stuff a $30. Right, so in here I would put savings challenge, so Christmas savings challenge, and I'm going to stuff $30. Okay, so next week I might only be able to stuff 5. Like after I've done all of this, I might only have $15 left over, so I can only do 5. Like it doesn't, the amounts don't matter. It's the process you use to get there that is important. And then say for Christmas, so for Christmas I'm going to do 30. And then for my 100 envelope I'm going to do 25 again. Or you could do like a 20 and a 5, it doesn't matter. How you get there doesn't matter. But yeah, but I like doing the smaller one, so $25. So $447 minus $150. So remaining is okay. Now, once you've done all this, you might have nothing left. You might have literally budgeted every single dollar. You might have a small amount left and you go, okay, well, I want to start a buffer, which is a certain amount you'd leave in your bank account so that if unexpected expenses arise, there's money in your account to cover it. A lot of cash stuffers have them. I don't. I'm not at that point yet. I would love to be, but I'm not. It's one of my goals. I've even got a fancy savings challenge and everything. So I am looking forward to that, and I will probably focus on that on the later half of the year. But yeah, you might have nothing left. So for example, say I've done all of that and I've got $397 sitting there. And I'm like, okay, then let's give it a job. Let's find out where to put it so that it's being utilized, so that that's not just sitting in the bank. Because if that is sitting in the bank, I guarantee you I will spend it. I will. I have no self-control whatsoever. Like when it comes to spending, I can't do it. It can't be sitting in the bank. I will spend it. So, and like my husband, he's extremely frugal. He doesn't spend he doesn't spend money for nothing unless me and the kids want something. If it's for me and the kids, he will also spend it. So I need to give that money a purpose. You might be one of those people that can have the money sitting in the bank, and that's amazing. But me, I'm not one of those people, and I know I'm not one of those people, and that's because I've done it over and over and over again. So I need to give this money a purpose. So, for example, how about we've got $397 left. So let's go back and adapt this bit here, because this bit's always the same, but let's go ahead and change this bit. So I'm going to put another $100 here because this is my main goal. Okay, now we've got minus 100. So we've got $297 left. So that one's kind of pretty stable. But I might, how about this fortnight we add in another $80. So that means each child gets 80. Now we've got $217 left. So let's put $100 into our emergency. Leaves us $117. So how about we split that between these ones? So I'm gonna put let's have a look at our savings challenges. So to clear out the big numbers, how about we do another big number? So minus 30. And let's put the rest in the 100 envelope savings challenge. So we had $397. We minused 100, and then 100, and then 80, and then 30. So $87. So I would round that down to 85. And then we would have 0 left. So we've given every dollar a purpose. We have met all of our our financial obligations by paying our fortnightly and monthly expenses. We've covered all of our daily living costs. And we've met our savings goals. And we're paying off a debt, which is a bonus. Now, for example, if this was consistently happening, if I was consistently having money left over, that's when I would start thinking about, well, I've always got that $300 left over, so why don't we introduce a few more envelopes? So, for example, in this section up here, I'm going to add, sorry, I'm actually pulling out my wallet. Okay, we always have money left over. I'm going to add a family time, a spending, and a fast food category. Sorry. Sorry, I'm trying to get them all in frame. So I'm going to add family time, spending, and fast food. So then I would start utilizing that money so that when I filled in this section, it would have 3 more categories in it. Or, for example, you decide, okay, well, we've got, even after I've put all that extra money over here, we've still got some money left. So I'm going to add a car maintenance envelope, or a car registration envelope, or a back to school envelope, a school expenses envelope. So, like, for example, some of the ones I have is car maintenance, that's lawn care, school expenses, my son to go bowling. He used to love going bowling every 2 weeks. My son is special needs. Unfortunately, he's having some mental health issues. He's having some regression, and he's just having some autism spectrum disorder related issues. So he hasn't want to go, but I still want to stuff it to make sure it's there if he's ready to go if he wants. Health. I'm seeing a lot of specialists, and they're very expensive. So I've got a health fund. Household, general household. Clothing. A savings one, but it has a specific purpose, so it's to go to a concert. Money to spend on Etsy, because I'm spending so much money on Etsy, and I ain't even ashamed about it, I tell you. And these 2 I haven't talked about yet, but like, you just need to think about what suits your lifestyle and your budget best, and work within those work within that framework. So I hope this helps. I know it's a long video and it takes a lot, but I really hope this helped prepare people for how much to cash stuff and how to figure that all out. Now, if you wanted a copy of the Budget 101 pack, just send me an email. I am actually, during my holidays, I'm so excited, I'm actually working on my own website, and I'm going to have a free resource library where this will be available, as long as some other stuff. So you would just be able to go onto the website and download this yourself. And I think I'm also going to have like free like savings challenges and savings trackers and things like that. So we are in my birthday month, which is July. My birthday is on the 14th of July. So my Etsy store is currently having a 10% sale on the whole store. So if you would like some savings challenges or trackers, and you might be interested, head on over and have a look, but you don't need them. You don't need them. You could literally have a blank piece of paper and do 1 to 100, and that's your 100 envelope, and just mark it off as you go. You don't need a lot. Just like you don't need all of kind of this stuff when you're just starting out. Like, I do have a video on what you can use to cash stuff and how to do it and the different ways you can do it, so that would be helpful if you're just starting out. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. I love hearing from you. Any feedback would be great. Let me know if you want to continue the series into other aspects of budgeting. And yeah, remember to live, laugh, love, and when life gets hard, just roll it in glitter. Bye guys.